On the afternoon Claire Reynolds buried her husband, a woman she had never seen before stood at the back of the church wearing Daniel's wedding ring on a chain around her neck. Claire noticed it before she noticed the woman's face. After 22 years of marriage, she knew every scratch on that ring. She had held it while Daniel slept, touched it when he was sick, and kissed it the morning they told her his heart had stopped after the accident. So when the stranger walked toward the coffin, placed one hand on it, and whispered, "You promised you would tell her," Claire felt the whole church turn cold. Then the woman handed Claire an envelope. Inside was a birth certificate. The baby's name was Lena Grace Vale. The father's name was Daniel Reynolds. And under Mother, written in black ink, was Claire's own name. Claire had only one child. A daughter she had been told died 22 years ago. And by the time she looked up, the woman with Daniel's ring was already walking out of the church. Claire Reynolds did not scream in the church. She wanted to. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. The envelope trembled in her hand while the birth certificate stared back at her with impossible cruelty. Mother, Claire Ann Reynolds. Father, Daniel James Reynolds. Child, Lena Grace Vale. Date of birth, July 18, 2002. Claire remembered that date because it had split her life in two. She had been 23, married to Daniel for less than a year, and terrified in a hospital room that smelled of bleach and rain. The doctors told her the baby did not survive. Daniel held her afterward and cried into her hair until neither of them had any tears left. They named the child Grace, but there was never a blanket, never a face to remember. Only a small white box from the hospital. Now, in front of Daniel's coffin, a document claimed their daughter had not died. She had been given another name. Another life. Another mother. The church blurred around her. Everyone had seen the stranger. Everyone had seen the ring on the chain. Everyone could feel scandal rising like smoke. Claire folded the certificate and pushed past the flowers, the coffin, and faces full of pity. She reached the doors just as the woman stepped into the gray afternoon. Wait. The woman stopped at the bottom of the steps. She was around Claire's age, maybe a little younger, with dark hair and a black coat buttoned to her throat. She looked tired, but not guilty. That made Claire hate her faster. "Who are you?" Claire asked. The woman touched the ring at her neck. "Mara Vale." "Why do you have my husband's ring?" "Because he gave it to me 2 days before he died." Claire felt the words hit like a slap. People gathered behind her in the doorway. Daniel's brother. A few cousins. Everyone watching the humiliation spread. Mara noticed them and lowered her voice. "Not like that." "Then like what?" Mara looked at the envelope in Claire's hand. "He said if anything happened to him before he told you, I was supposed to give you that. You walked into his funeral wearing his ring." "I walked into his funeral because he spent 5 years trying to decide how to tell you he had found her." Claire's breath caught. "Found who?" "Lena." The name landed between them. Claire shook her head. "My daughter died." Mara did not answer immediately. That made Claire afraid. "I raised a girl who was told her birth mother had abandoned her," Mara said. "Daniel found us 5 years ago. He came to my house with shaking hands and a photo of you from the hospital. He asked if the baby I adopted in 2002 had a birthmark behind her left shoulder." Claire went cold. Grace had that birthmark. The nurse had said it was shaped like a little wing. "Daniel would have told me," Claire whispered. "He wanted to. He would have told me." Mara's eyes filled. "Then ask yourself why he didn't." A car door opened behind them. Daniel's brother, Paul, came down the steps. "Claire, don't talk to this woman here." Mara's expression changed when she saw him. Claire noticed. "You know Paul?" Mara's jaw tightened. "Everyone in your family seems to know something they never told you." Paul froze. Claire turned toward him slowly. What does that mean? Paul looked at the church door, then at Mara. Claire, you are grieving. This is not the time. My husband is in a coffin, and a woman just handed me a birth certificate for my dead daughter. When exactly would be the right time? Paul lowered his voice. There are things Daniel was trying to handle quietly. Quietly. That word cracked something inside her. Quietly was how people buried shame and let one person carry the wound. Mara reached into her coat and gave Claire a brass key. Daniel left something for you at the lake house. Claire stared at it. The lake house had been Daniel's private place. He had gone there every Thursday for years. Every Thursday. Claire had believed he was meeting clients. Mara stepped closer. Do not let them tell you this was an affair. That is the easy scandal. The real one is older. Then she walked away. Claire looked at Paul. His silence made her hands go numb. That night, after the mourners left, Claire opened Daniel's desk. In the bottom drawer, she found a photograph of a young woman. Brown hair. Daniel's smile. Claire's eyes. On the back, Daniel had written one sentence. I found our Grace, but she does not know if she wants to be found. The lake house sat at the end of a narrow road, hidden behind pines and a wooden fence Daniel had promised to repair for 3 summers. Claire arrived after midnight. She should have waited until morning, but grief had stolen the shape of time. The key in her pocket felt warm, as if it had a pulse. Inside, the air smelled of dust, cedar, and old smoke. Nothing looked scandalous at first. There was a folded blanket on the couch and a mug in the sink. On the kitchen counter, Claire found a wooden box with her name written on it. Not Claire. My Claire. Daniel had not called her that in years. Inside were flash drives, hospital papers, photographs, and a letter sealed in Daniel's handwriting. Claire. If you are reading this, then I failed to tell you while I was alive. I wish I could blame fear, but fear is only the polite name for cowardice. I found her 5 years ago. Our daughter. Not a ghost. Not a grave. A living woman with your eyes and my stubbornness. Her name is Lena. The room tilted. Claire sat at the kitchen table and pressed the paper flat. I did not tell you at first because I needed proof. Then because Lena asked me not to. Then because every year I waited made the truth worse. Your mother arranged it. My brother helped keep it buried. I know you will not want to believe that. I did not want to believe it either. Claire stopped reading. Her mother had died 3 years earlier, and Claire had spent those years softening the memory of her. Margaret had been proud and obsessed with appearance, but Claire had never imagined this. Paul, however, was alive. Claire kept reading. After the birth, Margaret told you the baby died. She told me the same. She said grief would break you if I asked too many questions. Paul was the one who signed as witness when the adoption papers were hidden under another name. I found the first clue when Paul got drunk at my 50th birthday and said, "Some children are kinder dead than inconvenient." Claire covered her mouth. A car approached outside. Headlights moved across the wall. Through the window, she saw Mara get out of the blue car. Then the passenger door opened. A young woman stepped out. She was taller than Claire expected. Brown-haired. Narrow-shouldered. Wearing a green coat buttoned wrong, as if she had dressed in a hurry. Lena. Claire knew before anyone said her name. She opened the door and stood frozen on the porch. Mara looked exhausted. Lena looked furious. I told you not to come, Lena said to Mara. Mara glanced at Claire. She had a right to know. Lena laughed bitterly. Everyone keeps saying that after deciding what I get to know. Claire could not speak. There was her daughter, alive and breathing, angry in a way that proved she was real. Claire wanted to run to her, touch her hair, apologize for every birthday she had missed. Instead, she said the only safe thing. I'm Claire. Lena looked at her with Daniel's eyes. I know who you are. Those words hurt because they were not warm. Lena looked at Claire like one more adult arriving late with an explanation. Claire swallowed. I thought you died. And I thought you gave me away. Mara stepped between them slightly. Lena. No, Lena said. I'm tired of soft voices. Claire nodded. Then don't use one. That surprised her. A little of Daniel's stubborn smile flickered across Lena's face and vanished. Inside, the three women sat around Daniel's kitchen table. Mara explained what she knew. She had been 26, unable to have children, working as a nurse's aide when a private lawyer approached her with an emergency adoption. She was told the birth mother did not want the baby and the father had signed away his rights. Years later, Daniel arrived with shaking hands and a hospital photo. He cried when he saw her, Mara said. Lena looked away. Claire asked, why didn't he tell me? Lena answered before Mara could. Because I asked him not to. Claire turned to her. I wanted time, Lena said. Then I wanted more time. Then he got sick of waiting and said you deserved the truth. He wasn't sick. Lena's face changed. Mara closed her eyes. Claire felt the blood drain from her body. What do you mean? Lena reached into her coat and placed a medical envelope on the table. Daniel had known about his heart condition for 8 months. Claire stared at the papers. Her husband had hidden a daughter. And he had hidden that he was running out of time. By morning, Claire had stopped asking whether Daniel loved her. That question had once felt like the center of everything. Now it felt too small. Daniel had loved her. But love had not made him brave enough. At 7 the next morning, Claire called Paul to the lake house. He arrived in a gray suit, still wearing the grief he had performed so well at the funeral. When he saw Mara and Lena at Daniel's table, his face turned pale. Claire placed the adoption file in front of him. Talk. Paul looked at Lena, then at the floor. Margaret came to me after the birth, he said. She said Claire was too fragile. She said Daniel would ruin his life raising a child. She already had a lawyer. She needed a witness. You knew a baby was alive, Claire said. Paul looked broken. 2 days before he died, Daniel said he was going to tell you everything. Why didn't he? Paul pulled a flash drive from his coat. He was on his way to Mara's house when the accident happened. I kept this because I was scared. Claire took it without a word. After Paul left, she plugged the drive into Daniel's old laptop. There was only one video file. Daniel appeared on the screen, sitting in that same kitchen. He looked tired, but his eyes were clear. My Claire, he began. Claire broke at the sound of his voice. If you are watching this, then I waited too long. I thought protecting everyone from pain was noble. It wasn't. It was easier than watching you break. He looked down, then back at the camera. Lena is our daughter. Mara is not the woman I loved instead of you. She is the woman who raised the child stolen from us. Mara began to cry quietly behind Claire. I visited Lena because she asked me not to tell you until she was ready. But I should have told you anyway. Your life belonged to you too. Lena stood in the doorway now, listening. And Grace, Daniel paused. If you hear this, you owe Claire nothing. But if you ever wonder whether you were wanted, know this, your mother loved you before she saw your face. I loved you before I knew you were alive. Lena covered her mouth. There is a second envelope in the piano bench at home, Daniel said. It contains a DNA test. Open it or burn it. But do not let paper decide what your heart already knows. The screen went black. 3 weeks later, Claire stood in her living room holding the sealed DNA results. The house was not peaceful yet, but it was no longer false. Mara had gone home. Paul had left town after the story spread. Everyone had chosen a version of the scandal that made them feel wise. Claire no longer cared. Lena came by once a week. Sometimes she stayed 10 minutes. Sometimes 2 hours. She never called Claire Mom. Claire never asked her to. They sat on the porch and learned each other slowly. That evening, Lena found Claire by the fireplace with the envelope in her hand. "Are you going to open it?" she asked. Claire looked at her. "Do you want me to?" Lena's eyes moved to the flames. "I thought I did. Now I'm scared of what happens if it says yes. And more scared of what happens if it says no." Claire walked to the fire. For 22 years, a piece of paper had stolen her daughter. She would not let another one decide if she had been returned. Claire placed the envelope into the flames. Lena stepped forward. "Wait." But it was already burning. The answer Daniel had ordered disappeared without ever being read. Lena stared at the fire, crying silently. Claire whispered, "You don't have to be my daughter tonight. You don't have to forgive me. You don't have to stay. And if I never know?" Lena asked. Claire reached for Daniel's ring, the one Mara had returned. "Then we learn the truth without letting it become a cage." Months later, a woman moved into the small yellow room upstairs. On her first night there, Claire heard footsteps after midnight. She opened her bedroom door and saw Lena standing outside, holding the burnt corner of the DNA envelope. "I kept this," Lena said. Claire nodded. Lena looked younger in the dark. "I don't know what to call you." Claire's throat tightened. "You don't have to call me anything yet." Lena almost left. But before she turned away, she whispered one word. "Not Mom. Not Claire. Grace." The name floated between them like a door left open. And this time, no one closed it.